Hello and welcome to the Autocar Show. Now I'm going to begin by apologizing because some of the shots may be really hazy. We're going to get a lot of water on the lens and I might look like a drowned rat, but that's because we never carry umbrellas in November and we've hit a cyclone, or rather, it's hit us. But it's a story we couldn't pass up on. It's Premier's comeback kid, the Rio, creating a new segment, a mini SUV. What's it all about? Let's take a look. Well, it's an under 4 meter hatchback sized vehicle that looks like it's grown taller than its parents. Funkily styled, the Rio does look cute. The rear, with its side opening tailgate and spare wheel mounted outside, really gives it the SUV feel. The tailgate hinge is also neatly covered with a black shield. Vertical tail lamps give it a smart touch, and from the side it looks like a mini SUV that it's meant to be. Sitting 190 mm off the ground on nice 15-inch tires, it's quite tall. It's only the front that has an awkwardness about it. The bonnet and grille are surrounded by an oversized bumper to give it attitude, but it all looks a bit mismatched. Almost like the front of a small hatch was fit atop an SUV fender. Break it up and you may notice these things, but put it all together and the Rio is definitely eye-catching. It's refreshingly different. Taking refuge inside the car because of the rain, and once inside I've realized that we've really been spoilt by the small cars nowadays, and the kind of quality of interiors they offer, even the Nano for that matter, for the price they're at. This one seems very basic in comparison. Quality of plastics, not too great, lot of panel gaps, things like that could be improved in this version. But that's not to say it doesn't have a lot. It has the AC, has a music system, even has powered side mirrors. So there's quite a lot of offer on inside. Little things trouble me though, like the seat adjust lever, which I really have to struggle to get at if I want to move my seat back. The front windows are powered and the rear are winders. What we did like on the inside though were the dials on the dash. They were simple but smart and very clear to see. Ergonomically, the Rio does well too. Everything falls to hand easily and one is quite comfortable inside. It's narrow, but it has good amounts of legroom and the boot can pack in quite a bit. The 60-40 rear seat split flips down neatly to the floor, allowing you to carry larger luggage when needed too. Now, with the weather the way it was, the safest place was to be inside the car, and we had decided to get going and test the real strength of the Rio, its ability to wade through water. Well, the Rio may look small, but it passed the test with flying colors. Its nice high ground clearance ensured we could go through just about everything. Which made me really think, for those who want the SUV feel but can only afford a small car, the Rio is quite right. The Rio is powered by what was originally the Peugeot 1.5-litre engine that Premier has modified to 1489cc to ensure that Rio fits the small car build. And the good news is, it's a diesel. Now, technology has changed so much these days that often it's very difficult to tell between a diesel and a petrol engine. The diesels have become so refined. So it's not strange when you get into this car that you do hear it, because it's not a CRDI, it's one generation older. But even so, this engine is not bad at all. There's some current day engines that are actually noisier than this. You do hear it at idle, you do hear it when you rev it hard, but when you're cruising, it's really not so intrusive. It's really at idle and when you press the accelerator for more power that you hear the Rio engine. It does get gruff. However, if you keep the revs down and get cruising, the Rio's engine quietens down too. Don't push it too hard and you won't hear it too much. Top speed is about 120 to 130 max, and beyond a point the engine does feel strained. The Rio is probably happier ambling around in the city. The engine is really quite drivable. You can amble around, lower RPMs and higher gears, put your foot down and get the car moving again without really having to work the gears. But when you do need to use the gears, they're quite nice and the shift slots into place really easily. The gearbox was a pleasant surprise. The gears fell to place easily, and the shorter gearing makes the Rio very drivable in traffic. It's also so conveniently sized that makes it very easy to maneuver into tight spots and weave in and out of traffic, while still giving you the feel of being in a larger SUV. The only thing is, despite its small size and the narrow track, the turning circle isn't really great, and you will have to do 3-point turns often. This car is not really meant for chucking around corners at higher speeds. It's got a narrow track, it stands quite tall, so it does have roll. It's more meant for city driving, and in the city, the handling's just fine. The Rio is narrow and it stands tall, which gives it the tendency to roll. So go around a corner too fast and the Rio will let you know it's unhappy. Keep it gentle is the mantra of this car, whether it's powering the engine or the steering. But enough from up front. Since the rain's let up a bit, I'm going to get out and get into the back. The back seat's actually quite nice. With Karthik driving, I still have enough legroom here, although the seat is very low to the ground, so you sit in a sort of knees up position. It's narrow, so it feels small, but legroom is really quite great. And what's nice about this seat and its space is that you can actually, if I can find the lever, recline the seat and take a good long nap. Taller people will have to use the backrest to full advantage to compensate for sitting so close to the floor. Or you'll end up having your knees in your chin. And 3 in the back will be a bit of a squeeze because of the narrow width. The ride quality is actually quite nice in the back seat. The only thing is that because of the high center of gravity of this car, is that roll. There is an underlying firmness, but it's really more the body stiffness. You won't feel uncomfortable at all. At low speeds, the Rio absorbs the bumps and potholes easily. This car has an appeal to it, even as basic as it is. We all remember the appeal of the Maruti Gypsy. Imagine if it had been a diesel and had a body covering. Well, the Rio gives you just that. We feel the price could have been tighter to make it more appealing. And we have to remember a few facts. This is a Chinese car, originally the Zote Nomad, which is a copy of the Daihatsu Terios. We have to wait and watch what the Chinese quality will stand up to, as well as the fact that Premier are entering the passenger car market after a long while. Will their service network provide what's needed? Well, it's definitely creating an exciting new area for cars to go, that's what we can say. The Rio may not have the quality of interiors or the refined diesel engines we're used to seeing in cars nowadays, but it's still not bad at all, and it's got a lot going for it. Nice high ground clearance, which is great for water wading, as you've seen in the conditions we've been driving in today. It's got quite a lot of room inside. Back seat is very comfortable, ride is good, performance too is decent enough, and is very, very drivable in city conditions. Good fuel efficiency from this car, so quite a lot going for it. Interiors too, not really bad at all. And of course, it's creating a new segment of mini SUV, which is very, very interesting. Interesting to youngsters who want that first car with a little bit of attitude. This one sure has it. Look out for it in the showrooms this December. That's when it'll be available.